Halo semuanya, kembali lagi di Cracking Analysis segment. Untuk kali ini kita akan membicarakan tentang post-match analysis dari gue, Bayu Pratama, dan kita punya
Yeni, hai
Oke,
semuanya.
ya, jadi kita berdua akan bicarakan tentang post-match nih, analisis gimana AFL klub main di minggu sebelumnya. Untuk disclaimer, for those who are people out there, we are going to use Indonesian and also English at the same time. For those who cannot understand bahasa Indonesia, worry less because we can provide you with subtitles as well at the same time. And if you're expecting an in-depth game analysis, you're coming to the wrong platform because we are not having any data at all. We're heavily relying on AFL app. But this is an analysis coming from perspective of Indonesian about AFL or about the game. So without further ado, let's get on it. And we have 3 games to talk about. Yen, what are those 3 games?
So today we'll be talking about GWS versus Richmond, rematch Grand Final 2019. That was
it's a better version.
Really interesting game, yeah. And we'll also talk about Port Adelaide versus St Kilda Saints, another cracking game. And the last one, we'll talk about Melbourne versus Brisbane.
Melbourne.
I don't really want to talk about it though. Ngapain sih ngobrolin game?
Kan lu yang backing for Melbourne. Ya udah sih, ngomongin aja. Okay. So first of all, let's talk about Melbourne Demons and Brisbane Lion. Yeah, coming from your perspective, obviously you are backing for Melbourne Demons or Setan Melbourne. Di bahasa Indonesianya.
Melbourne Kesetanan.
Melbourne Kesetanan atau yang di Apa intensnya? Apa yang intens? Kalahnya atau mainnya? Kalahnya lebih intens kan? Nah, ini dia nih yang harus kita obrolin. Okay, Yan. Now, what do you think of the game? What is your perspective on it?
It's a really good game by both teams, but Melbourne kind of started falling short at the start of the second
like they
half.
Always do. Like they always do. Like you're talking about like as if Melbourne is winning all the games all the time.
Falling short is something that sums up Melbourne's matches pretty much.
Every year.
But all good. I mean, third quarter we got absolutely belted, and then fourth quarter we're trying to catch up, but 3-4 goals. It's just a bit late. It's a bit hard, and not to mention, umpiring was so terrible.
Well, look, I think that's very interesting coming from. I think this is becoming a very, very biased analysis. What makes you say that? What makes you think that the umpire is horrible?
Oh my God,
what aspects of it that makes it horrible?
Oh, for 2 minutes before the game ended, and then what's that score review for?
Well, I mean, the umpire is unsure about it.
Oh. Jack Liver totally. Was that Jack Liver or Oscar McDonald? I forgot.
I think it was either Jack Liver or was it Stephen May? I'm not really sure.
No,
I think it was Jack Liver. Yeah, it is Jack Liver. Sorry, yes, it was. I remember his mustache.
Jack Liver but I think it's Jack Liver. He totally took that mark. Even the field umpire said it's a mark.
Yeah.
What's the review for? I mean, Melbourne was out. I mean, we're ready to set up for a counter attack, and everyone is out.
Yeah.
And then they're like, all right, stops. And they proceeded with a score review. It halted the momentum, and I think they've lost the game there.
Look, I mean, we're talking about Melbourne as a club, regardless of that advantage is there or not. You have 2 minutes in the game.
Yeah.
You have you have Hannon as well. And let me just point it out. Melbourne was dominating in the fourth quarter. My apologies. And we were able to see how good Max Gorn, who obviously carried the whole team as you mentioned before.
Yeah.
You want to talk about Max Gorn here, or we're gonna just switch out to Bailey Fritsch?
I keep saying that Melbourne don't deserve Max Gorn.
Yeah. So do you think he'll go for Hawthorn? Yeah. I think he does look good in Hawthorn.
But I think something interesting I want to point out from that game is how from the back line, I think Melbourne players are instructed to kick it to Gone.
Yeah.
And Brisbane kind of figured out. So
yeah,
whenever they started from the back line, kicking it to Gone, he was surrounded by 3-4 players.
yeah,
and
yeah.
that's,
I mean,
that's why they can't move the ball as much as they did against Hawthorn.
and I think that makes sense. I mean, like, you know, Gon obviously have a really great marking and aerial ability. I mean, you can't kick it to Fridge. Fridge is in forward. The common Fridge, as we would say it in Krakatoas. And oddly enough, he's the leading goal kicker in Melbourne. Yeah, so definitely you got some serious issue in the club, Yen, if you got Fridge as a leading goal kicker in the club.
No,
I mean, you've got Jake Melsham and...
Well, we have Tom McDonald as well, but I don't know.
Oh, he's a spud. He's a spud. He can't kick.
Well, he was our first. He was our key forward before, you know, Fridge and everyone else. But obviously he was injured he missed two or three games. And
let me just point out to you. I think the key word in there was the key forward.
Yeah,
exactly. Was. So he's beyond his prime.
I know we got no tall forward to kick it to. I know.
Exactly. So you're relying on Fridge, and I think it's very interesting in Melbourne.
Man, we got Sam Whiteman, but he was so mandul, man.
Yes, for people who is out there and wondering what is mandul is all about, in Krakatoas every week we learn about new word from Indonesia, and mandul is obviously the keyword. Yeah, do you want to explain what mandul is for some people? In sports context.
Well, you see, Sam Whiteman, he's mandul.
And what is mandul?
Well, you know what mandul is. Well, mandul.
Yeah, I know, but the viewers out there it doesn't know.
Well, mandul is literally translated to infertile.
Okay. In sports context.
So when you can't score a goal, when you had a really good chance to do it, you're mandul.
Okay, so you are unable to score a goal or possess a good ability anymore. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, pretty much.
I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
Let's revert it back to the game, and obviously you saw what's wrong with it, and obviously in the last quarter of Melbourne and Brisbane Lions, and they had their advantage taken out. Bailey Fridge give away the 50 meters penalty. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think Melbourne is not being disciplined enough compared to other teams, or do you think it's just that's typical umpire fault? They give away 50 and then.
What do you mean disciplined?
Well, I mean, you know, Fridge shouldn't be able to give away the 50. I mean, he got a warning for 3-4 times, and Fridge did not give. Yeah.
But I think it's important to actually talk about what leads to that 50 and Hannon's decision to actually kick it to that side of the field instead of kicking it into the 50.
Yeah.
It's something I've been in that game. It's something that I've been questioning as well. Like probably they were coached to actually make use of the wing and kick it a bit to the side. That's why I think there were a bit quite a few out in the fall from Melbourne. So that was not the first one. So it was probably the coaching as well that they were actually instructed to kick
it down the flank, obviously.
Yeah.
Oh, look, I mean, we're gonna have a hypothetical question here. Should Fridge mark the ball? Do you think Fridge will be able to kick a goal? No bias here, no bias. Let's just have a real thinking. Would Fridge be able to kick a goal? Would you be satisfied if he marked the ball and he kick a point?
I don't know. There were so many unmissable misses in that game coming from Melbourne. I'm not that confident, to be honest.
So if let's say Fridge did kick a goal, do you think Melbourne deserved to win?
Well, for their gutless effort in the fourth quarter, I mean, they didn't give up. That's a good thing.
No, they didn't. That's right. Yeah. But they missed a lot.
Yeah, they kept their pressures on even until the end of the game. So I guess it's something good moving forward. But they need to learn to kick straight.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've been talking about Melbourne a lot here, but we have to give it to Brisbane, obviously. then something that I really want to touch on is that I think Mexico has become a specky bag for a lot of people these days. I mean, Cam Reynes was about to take another mark of the year as well, but
yeah.
yeah. What do you think of Brisbane Lions a squad or a team in general? I mean, both Melbourne and Brisbane Lion, they have a very young side. But what is the takeaway point of Brisbane Lion in the game, do you think?
Well, they got really solid midfield, I think. McLuggage, Lucky Neal, and others. They work really well. Clearances, I think they got the basics right. Better than Melbourne. At least they're cleaner clearances, and then they could also, like, their efficiency inside 50 is much better than Melbourne.
Yeah,
they can actually capitalize from the goal scoring chances that they have.
Yeah, no, you're actually right. I mean, looking at the efficiency of it, I mean, I've got my notes in here. They got 64% of the efficiency inside 50, which obviously compared to Melbourne, they've got 41%, so 17 shot from 41 inside 50, and they couldn't get it right. I mean, I think Brisbane Lions have got a really good side to carry them to the premiership. And we talk about Mexico as well, and the hit out from Melbourne, they have 44 over 18. But yeah, like you said previously, they just couldn't carry that advantage of hit out to scoring chances. And even if they get into inside 50, they haven't been able to capitalize that, which I think it's definitely a letdown from Melbourne midfield and Melbourne forward.
Yeah. I mean, we know we've been playing short hand passes, short kicks, but they need to learn how to kick. I mean, in that game, well, Clayton Oliver was amazing, but dude, he can't really kick.
Wow, that is a very, very interesting. So he's a bit more like Tom Mitchell than him, would you say? Just kick it away to inside 50 and just don't bother about the efficiency.
Yeah, I mean, impact wise, they're great. I mean, they work really hard in midfield. But who are you kicking it to?
That is true. Look, he got 75% of disposal efficiency, which is not too bad. But yeah, I definitely agree with you. If the efficiency, efficiency wise, yes, it's good, 75%, but it wasn't to the key chances of the Melbourne goal kicker, I suppose. So I definitely agree with you. I mean, if I was Clayton Oliver, I would kick it to Fritsch, that's for sure. I mean, it's a leading goal scorer, but
Oliver was amazing in that game, I think.
Okay, well, that is our analysis from Melbourne versus Brisbane Lion.
Alright, jadi tadi kita udah ngobrolin Melbourne dan Brisbane, yang it's a good game, but still heartbreaking. Still stings. Now we're gonna move on to Port Adelaide versus St Kilda. It's another close game in the first 3 quarters before Port Adelaide decided that they don't want the flag anymore. So St Kilda, go ahead. What's your take on that game, Bayu?
Yeah, look, I think it's very interesting take ya. Maksudnya gini loh, kita ngomongin di bahasa Indonesia aja deh. Karena kalau misalnya gue ngomongin di bahasa Inggris, Port Adelaide supporter bakal ngerti. Jadi karena gue tahu Port Adelaide supporter itu dia nggak bisa ngomong bahasa lain selain bahasa Inggris. Oke, jadi kita ngomongin tentang Port Adelaide lawan St Kilda ya. Menurut gue sih game itu sangat menarik gitu loh, karena dari awal game juga St Kilda itu benar-benar underdog banget kan. Kita ngomongin tentang dari laddernya, kita ngomongin dari pemainnya. I mean, a lot of people has been fancy that not a lot of people, my apologies. Port Adelaide Power supporters fancy a flag, obviously, when in actual fact they've been on and off. I mean, yeah, in terms of the game itself, I think it's very interesting. Port Adelaide Power, they come into the game, they wanted to win it. They knew they could win it. I mean, they play in the home ground. You can't ask more than that. You play in Adelaide. You've got supporters in Adelaide, and compared to St Kilda, I mean, it is only small numbers in there. we talk about how good their forwards. We talk about how good their young players like Xavier Dersma, Connor Rosie, and other players as well are coming along to Port Adelaide.
Especially after
They've
that
got
win, that really close win from Carlton as well, kind of boosted.
yeah, absolutely. I mean,
They want
we
to
can
continue
talk
the
about
momentum.
yeah, and we talk about like how they were two downs in against Carlton as well.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, and they still able to win it. They pulled it off from Robbie Gray.
yeah.
And I mean, talking about this game in particular, Port Adelaide against St Kilda, they are absolutely they should be on fire. They should be carrying that momentum. But unfortunately, St Kilda just coming out on top. On my take on the game, in saying that was I think Port Adelaide, despite that carrying that momentum, they also lack of belief, I suppose, and it probably comes down to mental strength as well.
Are you saying they're a bunch of pretenders?
Well, that's exactly what I mean. I'm talking about it. I'm talking about informal manners, but yeah, they're all a bunch
No,
of pretenders.
don't
They are
sugarcoat it.
no, no.
You'll
Well, that is
you'll get
very
booed
true.
anyway.
That is very true. I mean, look, I've got to be honest. I think they are a flat track bullies. They are an
Okay.
absolute flat track bullies. They've beaten sides where I don't think it's I mean, we talk about Gold Coast. Gold Coast was
Yeah.
impressive
Yeah.
with Matt Rowell's in. But ever since then, they haven't been beaten a lot of clubs that equally good enough. I mean, we can say Adelaide, for example, they belt Adelaide by 60 points. They belt Carlton by 2 points. I mean, for God's sakes, it's Carlton. If you beat Carlton by 2 points, I think there's something seriously wrong in your club. Yes, my take of the game, I think St Kilda is just starting to find their belief. They're starting to find their feet as well. I mean, we talked about last week. St Kilda was okay. I mean, they finally showed their wings. Brett Ratton, obviously new to the club. He's been there for I think a few years, but I think the young players that come into it, they're starting to learn on a weekly basis. We can talk about how St Kilda play against Collingwood the other time. I think it was around fourth. And they were playing against side of Collingwood, and the inexperience of that St Kilda players, like for example Caulfield, he was definitely inexperienced against Collingwood, against a side that who massively overrated in 2018 grand final, and which they think they could win the grand final, and they couldn't. But yeah, it's definitely an experienced side, and players like Caulfield, players like Rowan as well. I mean, they all come through from St Kilda, not academy, but St Kilda developing list, and then they're starting to show their ability in not just at home but interstate as well, which St Kilda hasn't been able to do so for quite a long time. We talk about how Tim Embry. I mean, he switched over from Sydney to St Kilda, and he was struggling for the first few years, and now he's starting to find his feet. He's the real key forward, and something that I really want to talk about is that they've got an up and coming forward, Max King. I mean, Max King is definitely new to the game, and I mean not new to the game, but new to the system, and he was being tagged as if like he was already a developed forward. So I think definitely Port Adelaide got their tactics wrong. But not just that. I mean, the whole club culture is wrong anyway. I mean, it is true. Something that I think it's a public information. It's not something that they should hide. So I think that's my take. I think it's very interesting to see Port Adelaide went down. I think they're all a bunch of pretenders with 36 premiership flags. 36. But yeah, I mean, looking at the efficiency inside 50 from St Kilda, it's quite atrocious. It is absolutely atrocious. The fact that St Kilda are able to pull it off over in Port Adelaide, it's something that all the Saints supporters should be proud about, namely Ben from Krakas. So yeah, well done to you, Ben. But looking at the stats, they all dominated. They dominated the contested position. They got hit outs as well. I mean, Paddy Ryder switched over from Port Adelaide to Essendon and then to St Kilda, playing against his old side. Definitely interesting to see. And they knew how good Paddy Ryder was, and I think Ken Hinkley, Port Adelaide Power coaches, dia terlalu nge-tag, kayak menurut gue sih dia terlalu nge-tag si PD ridernya itu. Jadi mungkin dari situ pun juga udah salah gitu ya taktiknya. Tapi emang ya seperti yang gue bilang tadi, emang klubnya aja udah salah gitu. Seharusnya nggak di AFL sih. Gitu.
Harusnya di South Australia FL.
Yeah. So it's SNFL. Basically, I think they should just be degrading to SNFL. I don't think they should be playing in NFL at all.
Hey, you know what? Rumor has it after that game, the AFL app it got crashed because there's so many St Kilda supporters checking the ladder.
Oh, that is very interesting. Finally, they all come out the cave. Well done, all St Kilda supporters. You got finally some belief in that. So yeah. They're all marching in.
I don't know if it's true or not, but I think it's pretty funny.
No, I think that is true. I think that is very, very true. You know, yeah. Tapi yang seperti gue bilang tadi, I think St Kilda itu finally punya real belief gitu loh. Punya kayak kalau gue jadi supporternya St Kilda, gue bakalan kayak oke, ini klub udah growing, ini klub biarpun punya banyak utang, tetap aja. Kalau misalnya lo mainnya jago, I think the money is gonna come in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think it's a good momentum for St Kilda supporters to start showing up to games again.
Yeah, well, I mean, unlike Melbourne supporters that I know, I mean, you know.
Well, it depends on if there are cheese platters available at the.
Yeah, see, I think that's the thing, and that's the thing. I think MCG don't have that. I mean, we have federal food, pies and mince pies.
That's ridiculous.
Sausage rolls. Yeah.
So
I think that.
Port Adelaide's going down from here. Like their momentum pretty much got halted. They're playing Melbourne this Thursday.
Look, I think this is very interesting. We're looking at Port Adelaide, Melbourne. I mean, I think Hario and Richard is going to talk about it. But if I may talk about it, I think it's going to be very interesting. Port Adelaide, you know, coming down from a side like St Kilda, a quality of St Kilda, coming into the game against Melbourne, who obviously had a misfortune in that game. But, you know, as long as Port Adelaide able to switch off Max Gorn and switch off Bailey Fritsch, I think they all in for a win.
Oh, so you think Port Adelaide's going to make the same mistake of kind of tagging over tagging Bailey Fritsch?
I think they will. I think they'll put 5 people on Bailey Fritsch. I think they will put 5 people in Bailey Fritsch. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you.
Well deserved, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Common contender. You got to offer mark him.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if he plays for Krakatoas, I think a lot of opponents will tag Bailey Fritsch. And I mean, that's how good he is.
Yeah. No. Well, that's return Hario's part. They'll talk.
Yeah. They'll talk about it. So it's definitely not ours. Yeah. I'll be giving up on that.
Easy.
All right.
Now, moving on to GWS Richmond.
Yes, I think that's another interesting game as well. Look, I think something that I really, really want to talk about, though, is Toby Green. I mean, good he is. How good he is. I mean, he's a menace to AFL society. And through the whole environment, I think he's a menace. But, you know, if you were his teammate, I mean, you wouldn't mind a bit of that.
I like Toby Green. I think...
You like Toby Green? Something seriously wrong with Melbourne.
No, I mean, I imagine him as a fun person that you want to hang out at a pub with.
Okay, so you're saying that if he doesn't get his beer, will he karate kick the bartender? Which I think he will. I'm going to be honest with you too. I think he will. I think he will karate kick the person.
He's got something that I don't know. I kind of like him.
Yeah. I think he's got that persona. If you were his teammates, I think you would love to follow him. But obviously, when you are his opponent, you wouldn't want to be near him. Or if you do tend to be near him, I think something physical is something going on. I mean, he could punch you in the rib, and he gets away with it. But yeah, if you tackle him, the umpire will just say, "Oh, you're ducking." That's not on. But yeah, I mean, talking about Toby Green, look, I think he's a fantastic player. Like I said, he's a menace. The fact that he is able to rip Richmond apart, it's a testament of how good he is if he's not injured, how GWS also needed him. in this time like this. I mean, we can revert back to the grand final where I think there was not enough mental capacity for them. I think they weren't believe enough that they able to go to grand final 2019. I mean. I mean, if you reply over 1,000 times against Collingwood, every team can beat Collingwood in preliminary final and can go to grand final.
He's got that mental capacity, which, you know, kind of lifts up everyone around him.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree with you. I think, like I said, if you're his teammates, you just want to follow him, follow what he does, and, you know, whatever that he does, the other team would either be scared of it or they just try to overly tag him. And unfortunately for the Tigers here, they haven't been able to shut him down and to be able to kick 5 goals in the defense, such as, you know, Nick Flostelin. You have what's his name, Nathan Grimes. So it's definitely something that Richmond should look over and think and reassess whether it is Richmond forward like Tom Lynch and Jack Riewoldt, which they are all out of form. Jack Riewoldt, I think, coming into old age, you know, he had his chances of kicking goals, but he hasn't been able to. Yeah, we have Tom Lynch, who broke his hand and hasn't been able to play well ever since. And to put that on a side note, some of their players are still in Melbourne as well. So we have to deduct that, like player like Basher Hooley. I mean, he's the key defender as well. Should Basher Hooley in GWS game, I think he will tag Toby Green and shut him down. But unfortunately, that hasn't happened.
I think half of Richmond's you know, squad, they're out of action. That's probably another reason why GWS can, you know, sail that smoothly. Yeah, absolutely. I think Richmond was not without, you know, defense. They're not without their effort to actually take the game, because at some point the game got pretty close as well. Like it could still be anyone's game.
Yeah, I agree, and I think it was not just that mental capacity. I mean, I've talked about a lot about mental capacity, but their inability to close off the game properly, I think, was the problem of Richmond has been facing. I mean, they let down their guards against Sydney, which Sydney at that time was overly defensive, and obviously Damien Hardwick wasn't too overly happy with that as well. But yeah, their inability to close off the game. I mean, it's only 2 goals game in this case of Giants against Richmond. It's definitely something that Damien Hardwick has to reassess on a weekly basis, whether they have the players that are able to carry them. And I can give you an example of that. Shea Bolton usually play in forward. Now he plays in midfield. He was able to carry what the other midfielder of Richmond players hasn't done. I mean, his agility in midfield was absolutely something that people should consider. I mean, Shea Bolton was definitely a forward, but the way he plays in midfield, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, he's a freak.
Yeah, I think he is. I think it's something. I think Richmond has unearthed another midfielder that they can nurture into another style, like Trent Cotchin as well. Even Trent Cotchin is not even playing. No Cotchin. So yeah, I think that is
Dusty. I think that was not his best night. I mean, he decided to turn up in the second half, but first half he was so he's nowhere to be seen.
He's pretty chill. He's a pretty chill guy. You know what, guys? You carry over in the first half. Whatever the deficit or whatever points that you need, I'll carry them. But unfortunately, like Dusty, I think his personality really shone through the game. It's just
but BT will still be frothing over him. He's so
who wouldn't? Strong. Like I said, who wouldn't? I would have been the same as well. I would have been the same as well. If I was the commentator, I would frothing over Dustin Martin. I think he's a good role model in a way, except minus the tattoo. I mean, his tattoo is cool, but my mom wouldn't allow it. My mom wouldn't allow it for sure. I mean, talking about that. I think
tattoo in Indo, so it's a preman like.
Yes, we can go on about the stereotypes in Indonesia, but in this context, Dustin Martin tattoo is cool. I just couldn't get it. I mean, I would love to have like Dustin tattoo in my neck, but you know.
Okay.
Anyway, yes. My take on that. I think Richmond has got a lot to to take in the next match, which I think Haryo and Richard will talk about it. For GWS Giants, I mean, they play against Gold Coast next week. I think it's going to be very interesting with Toby Green on the side again, with Josh Kelly in the midfield.
Oh yeah,
I think
Josh Kelly has a massive night.
Yeah, I think he has. Yes, he's got 26 disposals. From my note here, he has been able to, I mean, aside from Lockie Whitfield, Josh Kelly has been carrying GWS for a long time. And yeah, likewise, Toby Green. I think it's absolutely fantastic player. Once again, I cannot mention him enough. I think I'm the BT version of Krakatoas. I would frothing over Toby Green all the time. He's a good player. I mean, come on, his height is almost the same as me. His height is. Oh my god, he's only 182.
Okay.
So 18 centimeters off. I mean, 18 centimeters is not that big.
You'll get there.
Yeah, I'll get there.
Yeah.
Maybe I should drink a lot of milk.
Probably
we'll see.
Toby Green needs to run a coaching clinic for Krakatoas.
What are we doing? Like karate kicks type of goal. I think. Yeah, look, I mean, if he ever come down to Krakatoas, please feel free, welcome. Toby Green, I will tag you in this. Hopefully you'll be able to watch it. If you don't,
please do. We'll take you, Toby Green, we'll take you to Ayam Penyet Ria after we had that.
Yes. I think he will quit Footy after discovering Ayam Penyet Ria. Yeah, look, I think on my take against Giants against Richmond, it's definitely Giants got something to offer. I think they got something to offer. I think they wake up a sleeping Giants again. And from this point onwards, I wouldn't be surprised if Giants able to carry this momentum all the way to the final. I mean, they're gonna have a bye round soon enough. But then again, once that the chemistry of the players matching up again, I think Giants is something that people should be fear about.
Definitely a contender.
Yeah, definitely. So, well, Yeni, have you got something to say against on this as well?
Go D's.
Go D's! Oh wow! Well, there you go. That is a perfect way to close the segment this time on cracking analysis. Please feel free to like our Facebook. Feel free to follow our Twitter on Krakatoas FC and follow our Instagram at Krakatoas FC as well. Nama saya Bayu. Saya akan mengakhiri jumpa segmen ini dan kita punya
Yeni. Terima kasih sudah menyimak banter dan chit-chat kami.
Dan kita akan invite atau mengundang seseorang yang mungkin dari Krakatoas juga akan menganalisis tentang klub-klubnya mereka juga seperti Yeni, Melbourne Demons against Brisbane Lions, and like me, I can cover Hawthorn and Collingwood pretty easily. But kita akan mengundang beberapa orang untuk menjadi analisanya kami, dan semoga kita semua akan Oh my god, I forgot the word. Jumpa lagi minggu depan. Don't forget there is a game tomorrow as well. There is a game tomorrow as well, which is Western Bulldogs against Richmond Tigers.
Yeah.
Well, have a good night. Have a good week along. Bye-bye semuanya.
Sampai jumpa, guys.